Hey guys, Bridget here. In this video we're going to learn how to use Figma in under 7 minutes. Now, I also want to remind you that if you want a full course, I recently released one about Figma, so feel free to check it out in a link in the description. But now, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So we have Figma opened right here, and the beauty about Figma is that you can use it both in the browser or in the standalone app. Now in this case I'm using the browser, and we're going to rename the file to project1, and we're going to basically create a frame which is going to be the container element of your screens. So let's select the frame, and as you can see on the right we have a few different presets for phones, tablet, desktop, and much more. Now we're going to use the desktop in this case, since it's going to be 1440 pixels of width, which is a great place to start for a desktop app or a website. And we're going to rename the frame, which we can see here on the left under the layers panel. We're going to rename this to homepage. And this is really important to keep in mind, because under the layers you're going to be able to see each and every element that we add. So for example, if you create a rectangle right here, or any of the different shapes that we can see directly from this panel, we can basically see as we release that we have this new rectangle layer in the left under the homepage frame. So basically anything that is under this frame is going to be contained inside of it. And if I move it outside of it, you can see how this is not going to be in the frame anymore. So let's bring it back in, and we're going to basically change the color of this rectangle, which we can easily do right here on the right. So under the design column on the right, you're going to be able to change each and every one of the property of the element that you selected, being for elements such as this one, icons, typography, and anything in between, really, images. And let's basically change this one to be 500 pixels. So I click enter, and the rectangle is going to be 500 pixels. I'm going to make it by 600, and over here we can change the rotation of this element, and we can also change the radius. So if we wanted to change the radius of the corners, we can easily do that from here. And in this case we're going to use a different color, which is going to be a blue color, such as this one right here. And we're going to center it in this frame. Now I can also add strokes to this element. So for example, let's use a 20 pixel stroke, and you can see that I can easily change the color of the stroke directly from here. So I can make it lighter, for example, and I can easily just change and apply any effect also, such as the drop shadows. So for example, if I add a drop shadow and I add a blur, you can see how this drop shadow expanded in outwards. And I can also change things like the orientation. For example, if I want to give it a little bit of more depth in the composition, I can easily do that by changing either the X or the Y axis of this drop shadow. And I can also change the lightness and basically how dark this drop shadow is. I can also change, of course, the colors to any of these colors in this palette. Let's just use Command Z in order to undo this and go back to the previous section. And now we're going to add some text, which is something that you're probably going to use a lot in your Figma document. So I'm going to write Figma 101. And as you can see, the text is very small, and we can easily change that by increasing the font size right over here. So I'm going to write 100. As you can see, the text is much bigger now. Now at this point, what we can do is we can change the character of the font in this case. So we have a lot of different fonts under this list. So I'm going, but I wanted to select Lato, and I can do that by simply start typing Lato, and I'm going to see it selected right away. I can also change how bold or how light the font is, and this is of course is going to depend on the font that you select, but in this case we're going to go with extra bold, and nothing changed for some reason. Might be something that has to do with the font itself. So we're going to go with heavy or even black, and we can make one part of this text lighter by simply selecting it and selecting a lighter version of this font. So for example, I can make the 101 regular, and I can change all sorts of different elements such as the letter spacing by simply clicking and holding this with the left mouse button and increasing the percentage value, and also the text line to left, center, and right line. And this is going to be particularly useful if you have some paragraph text and things of that nature. So this would be pretty much it for this very introduction to Figma. Now on my YouTube channel, I have hundreds of Figma tutorials where we go really in depth. They're much longer, and they're going to explain exactly how to use Figma in a very fast and efficient way for free. I myself have been a UI UX designer for over a decade, and I'm sharing all of this knowledge for the very most part for free on YouTube. And I also have some premium courses which you can check out in the link in the description. But this is pretty much it for this video, and I'll see you in the very next one.